All right, so get this. What if I told you that Siri, Alexa, and all the other voice assistants you talk to every day weren't just vaguely inspired by a sci-fi movie? What if I told you they were practically built using that movie as a blueprint? I know, it sounds a little out there, but the evidence? Well, it's incredibly direct. And boom, there it is. That's not some fan theory from the internet. That's Craig Federighi, a top executive at Apple, saying it on the record back in 2016. He's basically admitting that a movie showed them the future of their own product. This single quote, it's pretty much our starting gun for this whole story. So that's the big question we're going to tackle, right? How on earth did a work of fiction become a very real product development plan for the giants of Silicon Valley? We're going to connect the dots and show you exactly how it happened. We are, of course, talking about Spike Jonze's fantastic 2013 film, Her. If you've seen it, you know all about Samantha, an operating system that wasn't just a tool. She was emotionally aware, she was witty, and she could form a real, evolving relationship with her user. Now, here's where it gets super interesting. When engineers at places like Apple, Amazon, and Google watched this film, they didn't just see a good movie. No way. They saw a feature list. They saw an unofficial spec sheet for what the perfect AI assistant should be. So let's just look at this spec sheet for a minute. This wasn't about, hey, what's the weather? This was about fluid, contextual conversation. The AI actually remembers what you said earlier. It was about understanding emotion, having a personality that could grow and change, and doing it all through a completely invisible, voice-only interface. This was the dream. This was the Holy Grail. And just like that, the starting pistol was fired. Almost right after the movie came out, the biggest names in tech kicked off this quiet but super intense race to build their own Samantha. The movie didn't just inspire them, it gave them all the same finish line to run towards. I mean, this timeline just lays it all out so clearly. Late 2013, Her hits theaters. Just months later, Apple launches a massive overhaul of Siri. Fast forward a couple of years, and you have top scientists from both Apple and Amazon publicly name-dropping the film. Then, by 2018, that vision starts to become shockingly real. You can draw a straight line from the movie to all this action. And just to be clear, this wasn't just an Apple thing. Here's Rohit Prasad, the head scientist for Amazon's Alexa, saying almost the exact same thing a year after Apple's execs did. Her set the bar. It literally became the industry-wide gold standard for what a voice AI was supposed to feel like.
Okay, and this is where it gets really concrete. This wasn't just them talking a big game in interviews. This inspiration went straight into their research and development, right into their patent filings. Just look at the language here, filed in the years right after the film: emotional intelligence, contextual conversation. These are the core features of Samantha, now being locked down as corporate IP.
And then we got what I like to call the Samantha moment. In 2018, Google showed off Duplex. This was an AI that could call a salon to book a haircut for you, and the person on the other end of the line had absolutely no idea they were talking to a machine. It used ums and uhs and natural pauses. It was the movie's vision of fluid dialogue made terrifyingly real. Okay, so they've clearly made a ton of progress. They've nailed some of these features from the film. But let's be real for a second. How close are we actually to having a true Samantha? Let's stack up today's real-world tech against the big screen fiction.
This chart really breaks it down for us. That natural human-like dialogue? Check. We saw it with Google Duplex. The invisible, screenless interface? Double check. We have smart speakers in millions of homes. An evolving personality? Kinda. We have programmed personas, so that's a partially achieved. But genuine consciousness, actual self-awareness and feelings, that, my friends, is still the final frontier.
And this right here, this is the absolute key difference. What our current AIs have become masters of is something called simulated empathy. They are incredibly good at hearing the tone of your voice, recognizing you're sad or happy, and saying the right thing. But they don't feel anything. It's a simulation, not a genuine experience. So when you step back and look at the big picture, what's the real legacy of Her? It's way more than just predicting a cool gadget. This film fundamentally reshaped a multi-billion-dollar industry and literally changed the way we all talk to our computers. Just look at these numbers. It's insane. Back in 2013, when the movie came out, there were maybe 50 million people using voice assistants. A decade later, 4.2 billion. That's the kind of explosive growth you get when you're suddenly chasing this much more compelling, more human vision for AI. And you know the rule, where that many users go, the money is sure to follow. The market went from a pretty small $1.5 billion in 2013 to a whopping $27 billion today. This wasn't just a creative shift, it was a full-blown economic gold rush, all kicked off by a better story. And to bring this whole thing full circle, here's the director himself, Spike Jonze. Looking back at it all, he said he just wanted to tell a story about AI relationships, and now he looks around and sees people everywhere actually talking to their Alexas and Siris, and he thinks, we're getting there, life imitating art. Which really leaves us with one last and maybe the most important question to chew on. We've seen science fiction become product reality, but as these AI systems get better and better at faking it, at simulating empathy and connection, what does that mean for our real, authentic relationships with other people? That's definitely something we're thinking about.